Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue VA, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, the Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from a full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 655 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Jeffrey Roistacher. And if you want to hear our conversation about Extreme Practice Makeover, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. It's the 655th show. We just turned 7 on the 4th of July, born on the 4th of July, Chiro Hustle. Today I have Jeffrey Roistacher with me. I'm really excited to have this episode. We've been hunting for each other for a while to get some time lined up, and now it's finally go time. Before we get into his story and talking about his 6 pillars of practice care, his consult to close, and I'm going to ask him, is coaching fun? So we'll get to that too. And then we'll hopefully be able to discuss how we get every chiropractor to be able to run $1 million practice, because we need a well-funded profession. But before we get into all these things, I'll let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, fundamentally, we protect freedom of speech. I think that I can't oversay that. Like, there are so many compromised platforms out there where people are controlled opposition that are pretending to do the right thing. Well, we do the right thing. And we have a 7-year track record of doing that. And it's not always been popular. So we know what it's like to be censored. We know what it's like to be shadow banned and traffic throttled. The social media platforms don't like the truth. So that's what we will continuously do, is we'll keep on pushing back with our small audience that are raving fans. And I think it's really important that we set the standard for that. We also protect and believe in medical freedom and medical family health freedom. I think that most people don't know where to go, who to trust for these things. I always urge people to find a chiropractor. Chiropractors are holding the line for you guys. I believe that chiropractors are the last piece on the chessboard before it's checkmate and it's medical tyranny. So we have to support the chiropractic profession, but the chiropractors have to support the people. And then we get philosophical with our show. We do protect and support BJ Palmer's last words. It's called the Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that is, go to the show notes and check out the Sacred Trust. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you ever did previously. I guarantee you. Even if you've been practicing for 2 decades, go check it out. We believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence and subluxation-based chiropractic. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, which creates educated intelligence. And with that, this is episode 655 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Dr. Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I know that we've been working on this for quite a while, so just happy to be on it. Number 655.
Yeah, and you know, our pre-interview should have been captured. Like, we really hit on some fundamentals about life and purpose, and I think that we can revisit some of that stuff too. But before we jump into revisiting the conversation that we had before we hit the live button, your story. I know that chiropractic was a second degree for you, right? Second career.
So it's funny, graduated Life University in 99, just entering my 25th year in practice. It's even shocking to say. And when we look at the years of life and learning and really just having that open critical thinking where you can think outside of the box or against the mainstream medical model, it opens up your eyes to a whole nother world. When I went to school, I remember the first year, they said, you did not choose chiropractic. Chiropractic chose you. And we went around the room and everybody shared their story. So my story, very quickly, I was a football player, like most, bodybuilding, powerlifting, all of those contact sports. Had a very bad right hip injury. It was right around the time Bo Jackson playing football, not trying to date myself, but he had a major hip issue that caused his career to end. So I remember coming home and, being a teenager, saying to my mother, you need to make an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon. I think I did the same thing that Bo Jackson did to my hip. And she looks at me and she goes, no, I'm going to make an appointment with Dr. Murphy. So my mother had a business, and next door was Dr. Murphy. So I go, Dr. Murphy, I don't know that orthopedist. And she goes, well, he's a chiropractor. I go, Mom, I have a serious injury. I need to go to a real doctor. I don't understand why you're sending me to a chiropractor. And I remember she goes, you'll go meet him, let him evaluate. If he can help you, I'll send you to the orthopedist. So I remember I pull up to this office, and it was this little plaque, and it said Dr. Murphy. And it was right after the Mercedes 80s, but it was this beautiful, beautiful Mercedes. And I'm like, wow. I go in the front door to this beautiful office. To this day, one of the most stunning offices I've been to. And fill out the paperwork. They take me back to his office. And there's a picture of his wife, who to me looked like a supermodel. He walks in, this good-looking guy, tan, happy. And I'm like, what is this chiropractic thing? The car, the wife. This guy is the most handsome guy that I've ever seen. So he does the evaluation, does the exam, takes some x-rays. He explains to me exactly what happened. We got a subluxation L5S1. The hip, it is not Bo Jackson. It is not this. And he said to me, he goes, follow me through the 2 months of care. He goes, I know in discussions with your mother, if we can help. So I went through it with him. And in essence, he became a friend and a mentor and left me with an amazing, amazing impression of the profession. But I graduated high school. I get an undergrad degree, business administration with a specialization in marketing. I worked for 4 or 5 years in the corporate world, and living in New Jersey, we would get that suit on, hop on the bus, an hour and a half to New York City, work all day, an hour and a half home. And I remember coming home one of those days, I must have been 26 years old at the time. And I walk into my mother's house and I'm crying like a baby. And she goes, what's wrong? What happened? This is not my life. This is not what I want to be doing. I am miserable every single day. And she looks at me out of nowhere. She goes, why don't you just become a chiropractor? And I was like, and then I thought about it, and it's a unique story. So the next day we had a funeral to go to. And at the funeral, I'm there with my mother and sister. And my mother says, you see that girl over there? And I said, yeah. She says, well, she's a chiropractor, and I'm very good friends with her mother. So I want you to go over and talk to her, ask her any questions you have. So I walk over and I introduce myself. And it's to this day, it was the funniest thing. Because I walk over, introduce myself, and I go, I'm totally not hitting on you at a funeral, geek number one. And then I go, my mom told me to come speak to you, geekness number two. And she's like, who's your mother? And I said, oh, over here. She goes, oh, I know your mother. Your mother and my mother are great friends. Sit down. How can I help you? Talk to her about the chiropractic thing. And she goes like this. She goes, you're going to go to Life. You're going to call tomorrow. You're going to move down right away. it's going to be the best thing you ever did. And I listened to her, and I called the school the next day, and I was the big shot though. I have a business degree. You're just going to let me roll right into the program. And then they go, you know, you don't have any sciences. And I was like, you need sciences to get into chiropractic school? Biology 1, biology 2, chemistry 1, chemistry 2, physics 1, physics 2, organic 1, organic 2, inorganic 1, inorganic 2. 10 classes before I got into the program. Started school there in July of '96 with the Atlanta Olympics. My favorite quick joke there, I had a buddy that came down to school from New York at the same time that I did that used to work the front office of the Yankees. So the Yankees in Atlanta played in the World Series, and he goes, would you like to come to a game with me? I'm like, I'm a broke college student. I have like $20 in my bank account. He goes, I got us covered. I'm at the World Series in Atlanta. Then the Olympics, I'm like, I don't have any money for tickets. We got some free tickets. So here I am, a broke college student. I'm at the World Series. I am at the Olympics. I'm like, Life University, Atlanta, this is the greatest place ever.
What a story. And
we all have one. We all have one.
I think it's really cool that you just take advice at that age of your life. And I think so many people are like you. They get to a point within their education and their academic life, and they're like, go in and start doing the thing and working. And then they're like, this isn't working for me anymore. And you have to be hungry. You know, that's something I've learned when it comes to like entrepreneurs and business people and people that advance their life and careers. You got to remain hungry. And I still feel that from you 25 years later. Like I just got a chance to talk to you today for like 20 minutes before this interview started, but I'm like, this guy's still hungry.
It's always being an athlete and always being competitive and always wanting to compete. There are sports as you age that obviously you can't do anymore. So I look at my consulting business, my 2 practices, as this is the sport, and the ultimate reward is helping your fellow man, which is there's really no bigger honor in my eyes.
And 25 years into the game, since we're talking sports language, 6 pillars to patient care must have been a part of your game plan in order to win with chiropractic practice.
So here comes my next story. And this was a career defining story. So I know everybody's sick of COVID, hearing about it, hearing the stories. But as each state was different, North Carolina shut that shit down. And our practice went from a nice, healthy practice. And as an example, we would see 60 or 70 patients on a Monday when we were down to 6 patients on a Monday. I'm watching the practice over 2 years just crash. And you couldn't market, you couldn't go out the office, you couldn't do all the things that you normally do. So we came within a couple of months of going under, just survived. And I remember the end of 2021, we were in Florida. Every Christmas to New Year's, we go to Florida for a week or 2 week vacation with my wife and the kids. I come off the beach that day, and I knew going into 2022 that something was going to have to change. And I figured I needed a new adjusting table, a new technique, something just to get that fire back. And that was my first introduction to Class 4 laser. So Class 4 laser, I went from 1 Sumus Horizon laser to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. One practice almost dead and buried to a thriving multi-million-dollar practice, a new practice that's a year old, and then the consulting business. The 6 pillars of care came about because I had to have a identity within the practice. And the pillars, as I break them down, Class 4 laser, spinal decompression, shock wave, neon track, Vita light bed, and then a neuropathy program. So as a patient comes in, it's like a triage now. They come in and I look at all of these pillars or more than one and placing the patient where I feel is their best care that we can provide. Chiropractic being given, of course, the foundation of what we do, but these advanced services, the combinations of them, the marketing shifted, the office tour for each patient shifted. We've created these presentation folders that each one is based upon one of these 6 pillars. And the way that we go about educating the patient, it truly has streamlined the whole component of it. And we went from 1 pillar to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. 6 seems to be that sweet spot. And what I do is I look at the entire human body and say, which of the areas are we able to really help these patients? And I feel like we're getting to the point that we can pretty much treat the majority of conditions.
Well, we were talking about this off of just on our pre-interview conversation too, and I was telling you like the compound effect of how people are deficient with so many parts of their biodynamics. They don't know what to do, and if they go to the mainstream model, they're not getting laser, they're not getting decompression, they're getting pills, potions, and lotions. And that's been something through the times of chiropractic. We were talking about the troubles of the current profession. And I was like, bro, that's been around since day one. There's been a pushback on this beautiful profession of chiropractic since I believe the Palmers brought chiropractic to, the marketplace. Yeah. So we're talking about today, people are, I was just listening to Tony Robbins in 2020 give a talk in Sydney, Australia this morning while I was working out. And he was like, 1/3 of America is obese. So we're dealing with a way different thoughts, trauma, toxin type of environment within a person. But there's the compound effect of the scamdemic, as most people call COVID. And the scamdemic has put so much mental stress on people that it manifests into physical stress and pain. So we have to look at people. The litmus test of humanity is different, and the petri dish of concern is different. So if we really want to look at, like you said, you look at people from head to toe, where can you help them the best? Well, we need to get people into facilities that don't cut it out, drug it out, and burn it out. We need people to get into practices like yours that we can look at the full spectrum of what's going on with people. Obviously, we want to do x-rays. We want to make sure that we're checking out people's neurological patterns. But there's a lot of concerns that are going on with, the soccer moms to the guy that, still works for the city. Everybody needs a different type of care. And I think that that's what you've approached with the concierge style care that you do, is giving people resources to back to what is best for them, which is a quality of life.
It was such a shift from where I started, where I spent the first 20 years. But these last few years, the best patient results that I've had, the most fun in practice that I've had, the traditional stress levels of insurance and all of the other things that come with being a small business owner, that used to be such a headache. Now we're 98, 99% self-pay. So the shift done by a worldwide scamdemic that took down 50% of the small businesses in the country, reallocated wealth And it's amazing that the liquor stores and the Walmarts and the Targets and the Costco's record profits as we're shutting down small businesses and everything else. It came to me at the end of 2021, where I said, we just survived a worldwide pandemic. And if we survived, it's time to thrive. And at that point, I made the shift. At that point, there was no more crying about what happened prior, because nobody's going to rescue you. Nobody's here to come and save you and your family. You have to do it yourself. And I have this thing of my personality, maybe it's a New Jersey thing. When I get knocked down, figuratively or literally, I get up immediately. If my back is against the wall, I will come out fighting 100% of the time. And what I learned through those difficult years, everything is the mindset. Where that mind takes you, where they say your thoughts create your reality. That part of it, when you talk about getting into a higher level of practice, it's not a physical component, but it is that next level in this profession, and it's mindset.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue VA, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, the Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from a full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. Well, I think that takes us into the strategic plan that you build out for somebody. And how I mean, back in the day, I still do this when I go out and do my marketing for chiropractors. I'll schedule somebody in and I'll say, look, on the first visit, we're going to do a full exam, consultation, health history. We'll shoot some x-rays if needed. You'll do some orthopedic tests. We'll do some neurological tests. We'll do some muscle tests. We'll find out what's going on. We'll create a full report for you. Second visit, you come back. We call it the report of findings. We're going to tell you what we found, how much concern there is. We're going to tell you how we can help you. At that point, doctor will give some recommendations to you and just stick with what he says or she says. And if we're a good fit, stick with us. If you find out that you come in and these first 2 visits, this isn't the right place for you, there's no strings attached for further care, but I guarantee you one thing, you're going to like us. So the evolution of that is your consult to close, which I think is really important for people to learn next. Is it's a transitionary position for us on this conversation for you to tell people, how do you take somebody in after doing the initial intake and then the report of findings? How do you recommend people and get them to close at 90%, 98% cash patients?
Yeah. So I go back in time and I look at some of the mentors/consultants that I used in the early years. And I started with Dr. Pete Fernandez for the first 3 years, which to me, one of the greatest men ever in the profession. We lost him this past summer. I was with David Singer for a couple of years. In David Singer's program, it was a 4-day report of findings. With Dr. Fernandez, it was the traditional day 1, day 2. So I've always done a mixture of a 4-day or a 2-day. And then through COVID and, all of this shift that took place, the consult to close came together. So the consult to close is this. Patient comes in, I review the paperwork. I already can have, with 25 years experience, a working diagnosis, just an initial impression. From there, I'll choose which pillar or pillars I feel is best for the patient. That patient will come. Now we're face-to-face. We're doing the consultation. Just like every other consultation, I'm asking the pertinent information. But there's a reason God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. The consultation is to shut the F up, let the patient speak. Let them give you the answers to the test questions. From there, I will actually go, and I know that some of the profession don't like the word, I'll actually go to my recommendations and close. And all of this will be done within an 8 to 10 minute time frame. Now, 90% of the time, this is viable. 10% of the time, we just need more information. We need the physical exam. We need the x-rays. Maybe we need an MRI. So this isn't an all or nothing, but 90% of the patients will do the consult to close. After that 8 to 10 minute consult to close, patient goes to the front desk, prepays the care or two pays or does one of the financing like a care credit. That patient comes back to me the day they begin treatment. So if it's that day, they come back to me, physical exam is performed, documentation, everything that we have to do. But what I learned from a 4-day report of findings, or I used to do a 45-minute infomercial years and years ago, I started to realize that it's an interaction. I'll give you an example. You have a rash on your arm. You make an appointment with the dermatologist. You go in, the dermatologist looks at your arm and goes, yep, that's ABC condition. Here's a prescription, it'll be gone in 2 days. You were in that interaction, maybe it was a minute or 2 minutes long. The doctor identified the problem, identified the solution, didn't do a 45-minute infomercial, was able to make the appropriate recommendations. And from a time component, I'm able to see 10 or 15 new patients a day, and my average interaction is going to be about 8 to 10 minutes in length. So a radical shift, but this is what I've been teaching doctors all over the country, and the hundreds of doctors that we've trained on this, they go, you've made our life so much easier. There's not this song and dance. There's not a lay lecture done on visit 1, because the opportunity to educate is going to continue through the course of the care. But the consult to close has been so popular that I actually have a US trademark on the term itself. And the 6 pillars of care and the consult to close, these are the major parts of my consulting business.
Which I think fundamentally, once again, I think that it's time for an adaptive state of how chiropractic does business. I think that chiropractors have, for the longest time, been afraid to do what you're doing because they don't want to change their identity to their brothers and sisters. But the people in the public, they're willing to pay top dollar if you have a solution for them. And if the pain's bad enough to anybody, they find ways to find money. Yeah. And they might not find ways to find money if it's just, hey, I'm going to put you on 12 visits of chiropractic and we'll see what happens. But if you're like, hey, I'm going to get you 12 visits of chiropractic, plus I'm going to address the concerns that you're telling me as I shut up and listen. I go back to the old salesmanship of chiropractic. You have to give them what they want and sell them what they need. Yeah. And that's a part where you have to start bridging that gap and telling people, look, you're a mess. You've told me you're a mess. This is how we make improvements to how your condition is today. Yeah. We're going to hopefully provide this type of service to you that you're paying cash for. And you have to be an active participant in this plan. Otherwise it doesn't work. And I think that that's a big part too, is there's no magic behind the protocols that you deliver to people. It's, they have to be an active participant. And here's the real truth. What people pay for, they pay attention to. And if they come out of pocket at a high price point, they're showing up, bro, and they're participating.
No question. It's early on in the career, I would close the 12-month treatment plan, 90 adjustments, 100 adjustments, again, subluxation based, very much running through there. And let's be honest, great results. Then we got into it a little bit through the insurance years. And I remember back in 2007, we got hit with an Aetna post-payment audit. They decided at the time that they were going to audit every chiropractor in the southern part of New Jersey. And they got everybody at the same time. So all of this of getting, a kick in the nuts and a punch in the face and all of that, it's an evolution of the profession. And where I look at where I was to where I'm headed now, it's based upon being in the trenches, fighting the wars, winning some battles, losing some battles, and then getting to that point. I am very open with my numbers. So for the better half of 20 years in practice, I've been a 550,000 gross collection practice, up year, down a year, but I maintain those numbers. 2021, we come out of COVID, I'm at 385,000. And you go from 550 to 385, it's rough. Credit cards were maxing out, accounts were getting very low. 2022, 1.25 million. 2023, 1.6 million. 2024, as you know, July 1st is the midway point. We're on track for 3 million this year. So my joke here is it only took me 25 years to become an overnight sensation in the profession. And obviously it's a joke.
Well, I met John DeMartini several years ago, and he would tell me it only takes 25 years to become an overnight success. So that's right. That's right in alignment with your projections.
I hope it doesn't take another 25 years to figure out the next step.
So coaching, are you having fun with it?
I'm going to tell you, I thought my entire career that I'm going to practice 30, 40, 50 years, God willing, and that I would either retire or die adjusting somebody. And now I see a different window. So I'm 54 years old. At 60, 6 years from now, I'm going to sell both practices. I'm going to get out of the day-to-day of running these practices. The shift of consulting, again, to be able to take that chiropractor that's down on a knee, that's hurting, to be able to help them. And the way that I go about things with them, I call it the easy button. I don't do hard sell. I don't do hard close. I don't have awkward moments with my patients or my clients. The ability to watch them excel. So at our last training, we had a doctor that went back to his practice in Pennsylvania. And it's not only about numbers, but he did 40,000 the week that he came back and 40,000 the week after that. He did $80,000 in 2 weeks, simply following what I explained and what I taught him to do. Never happened in the career before, and now it becomes a regular thing for him. I view it, there's two views. There's a money component. And again, at the end of the day, all of these wonderful practices are small businesses. And like we were talking about earlier, we're the marketer, we're the manager, we're human resources, we're sales. We have to do it all. But to watch the face change, to know that their bank account is swelling, to know that financial stress is leaving their body, that to me, we talk about stressors of life, health being number one, but the financial part is such a killer. And to help doctors, I have some clients that are a single doctor practice, no staff. They answer the phone, they do the adjustments, they take the payments, they make the appointments. And in one of our previous trainings, I had a doctor that has 18 practices in Atlanta. So the gamut runs all the way through. But to be able to help and troubleshoot, but also to have felt their pain, to be a great chiropractor. If you've never had a disc issue, if you've never had a migraine, if you've never had a subluxation affecting if you've never suffered personally, how much empathy can you have for that patient, for that client? And when they start sharing with me, again, there's a part of my personality where people just share. I don't judge people. I don't make them feel judged in any way, shape, or form. So they open up to me. And to hear, and they'll say, and I'm on the verge of going bankrupt. My wife is leaving me. I have no relationship with my kids. To be able to understand it with them and say in applicable things, I know the pain. I've been there. I understand. Now let's talk about the steps to begin to take us out of this hole. I would make the switch. If I didn't have so much fun in day-to-day practice right now, I would actually make the switch even sooner. That's how much I love helping.
Well, it's really cool to see it all align, and that you're able to find your own clarity and a pathway that worked better for you, and not being dependent upon the insurance model. I think that a lot of people are really afraid in the health arena, particularly, to go to a cash model.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that you've determined a way to get people to self-finance their care rather than thinking that somebody else is dependent on footing the policy to keep them healthy, which I think is a huge part of integrity, personal responsibility when it comes to what we might be dealing with as people, and saying, look, if my car breaks down, I find out a way to get a loan and I go get a new car and the insurance company doesn't pay for my wheels. And I think that people have to take that same type of responsibility with their personal health. And I think it's really amazing that you're taking a model that worked for you and distill that down and teach that to other people and give them financial abundance and freedom, and probably having the most fun that they've had in a long time too, like yourself, with their private practice. And they get clarity, the ability to have the life of their dreams too. So I think it's really cool that you've created programs for people to plug into, and that you can do the teaching and teach people about the 6 pillars and the consult to close. And I think it's just amazing that one person's journey can have the impact on more people's lives. It's like the big idea. And it's back to the Edison quote, the doctor of the future.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many things that are in alignment with what you're doing. There's nothing worse than running out of money as a professional. And there's nothing greater than to see the swelling of a bank account when you provide services that save people's lives from drugs and surgery.
So
And
I used this morning, just going back slightly, I had a presentation this morning at an over 55 adult active community, and the presentation was on neuropathy. And we started to talk about insurance, because does Medicare cover? Does my insurance cover? So I said that if I went in the parking lot right now and I slashed all 4 of your tires, is your medical insurance paying for that? When you go food shopping, does your medical insurance pay for food for your family? To take them off of that mindset. But here's how I do it with some of the larger treatment plans that we do. So decompression could be over 5,000, neuropathy 4,000. I'll verbalize it like this. We have an option where you can begin care, no money out of pocket, no money down. You can complete 4 weeks of the 8-week care plan. First bill comes in the mail. First bill has a minimum payment of around $35, minimum payment. From there, you have a year and a half at 0% interest. If you want to pay it off early, there's no prepayment penalty. If you pay it out over the 18 months, the year and a half, you're at 0% interest. So when you look at any of these bigger plans, you can't just say to a patient, it's $5,200, give me cash check or card. it's like this. You have a car that is $50,000 car. And the dealer says, great, give me a check right now for $50,000. And you go, I'm not going to spend that. All right, it's $400 a month. Oh yeah, $400 a month. Okay. So for those of us doing these bigger treatments, we call it, the niche type of care. There has to be the options available. You have to take their mind shift away from insurance. So for neuropathy as an example, well, your Medicare is going to cover your gabapentin, your wheelchair, and your foot amputation. So if you'd like to use Medicare, then these are the options available for you. And again, not being so harsh with people, but really trying to get them that mindset out. My opinion, the worst thing to ever happen to our profession was the insurances accepting it, because they had those Mercedes 80s where everybody was basically writing a blank check. And I feel like the profession's been suffering since then. Getting away from the insurance model, the freedom of it, there are some very easy basic steps to start that process. And that's also what I help my doctors with.
Well, Dr. Jeffrey, the time is come. If you guys want to learn more about what he's doing, go to extremepracticemakeover.com. Check him out. Learn the strategies that he does to make chiropractors have more fun, make more money, and change more lives. And I appreciate you being on with me as episode 655 of the Chiro Hustle podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I know we went back and forth, but I could talk to you for hours. This is great.
Hey, I think like attracts like. And I really appreciate what you do and how you've structured your life around this beautiful profession of chiropractic, and how you're sharing information with more people to have the practice of their dreams. And when that is successful, chiropractic becomes more successful. And I want to see this profession serve millions and millions of more people in the future. So we just have to keep on protecting the sacred trust, keeping freedom of speech in this medical world, and not letting the damn medical tyranny model checkmate us and remove chiropractic from the game. Yeah. So if we want to go back to the earlier conversation of keep winning as an athlete and as a team member, we need to keep on winning on the field of chiropractic, and together we're better. So I'm happy to be on the team with you. So thanks for being with me today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, you are episode 655 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I close out the same way every time. I tell everybody, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.